way of being able to bring a community together, bring people together and knowledge together to be able to share. And that's the main thing that I really want to do with Fight Creative.
The Fight Creative Podcast, hosted by Seb Muirhead and Chan Griffin.
G'day, my name is Daniel Nelson. I am the host today for the Fight Creative Podcast. I am the owner of DNA Stunts, which is a stunt training school here on the Gold Coast. And today we have Shahaub Roudbari here as our guest. Hey Shahaub.
How's it going, my man?
Good, man. We've actually been sitting here for like an hour talking. So it's,
we have.
Yeah, we're just
talking about diets and being in our 40s. It's the whole thing. Even though you're not there yet, but soon.
Welcome, mate. So for people that don't know you, you've worked on shows like The Grey Man and Extraction 2, and you've been fight coordinator on WandaVision and Transformers, and recently The Gorge, that was on Apple TV.
That's right.
Congrats on that. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, mate?
Sure. I'm an Iranian-American. Been doing stunts for quite a while now. This is my first time in Australia, so having an absolute blast with that, and all you incredible people, great culture, great coffee, so loving that. But yeah, been doing stunts now for 10 to 15 years probably. Slowly made the transition over from filmmaking and acting, directing through stunts and kind of circling back into the directing side of things. So it's been a fun process.
That's awesome, man. So yeah, you've done a lot in your 15 years. I think we were talking the other day and we were saying, we started around the same time. I think you've done a lot better than me. A lot better than me though in those years.
No, I appreciate that.
But yeah, how do you find it all? Find yourself in this fight coordinating position.
Yeah.
I must say it's been a pleasure to work with you.
Feeling is mutual. Thank you.
We're currently on Runner.
Yep.
And it's been great working with you. You're very the way you can speak to us as your crew. The guys in your fight team. How do you balance that? I guess being professional, having fun, and getting the job done.
For sure. To me, we're making movies. The whole thing is fun, and I think it's a bit of a myth how those are trying to be separated. Like the idea of fun is one thing and work and productivity is another thing. To me, fun is an inherent part of that. It's woven into the very fabric. So making sure that the process itself is fun, especially in creative endeavors, I think is integral. Like we work so much fucking better. The idea of looking forward to being at work, the idea of, not to get all philosophical about it, but like we're hardwired to enjoy learning and productivity. So when you're coming up with cool stuff with people, you're enjoying it, you're having a good time. So taking away that separation as much as possible, I think is when you get the most creative. It's when you get the best out of people. And ultimately, so much of filmmaking is collaborative, and action design is ultimately purely collaborative. So if you want to get that bounce back and forth and have everybody at their top of their game, you're having a good time.
And do you find that you always had that outlook? Or did it come somewhere along the way? Did you find yourself stressed out and you go, you know what, I need to enjoy this more?
It's been an evolution for sure. I would say that's my nature. It's probably what I come from a bit, be it my family, be it my cultural background, just be it how I came up. But as I'm sure a lot of people in the stunt industry have kind of experienced, you experience a lot of different things, pros and cons, successes and failures. And a lot of what I do isn't just a process of learning what to do from others, but so much of learning what not to do. I've had many incredible people, and you learn a lot of good things, but also mentors and good friends who were the opposite, where I saw literally would say this is not supposed to be fun. What are you doing? Or having a little bit more of that. This is a longer conversation, but that militant hierarchical structure of know your place, behave a certain way. We're here to do this job in a certain, be it a martial artsy military background where they kind of have that stone cold feel. And I just saw that wasn't conducive to how I like to be and how I like to operate. And even I'd argue that I think is not as optimal in trying to do what we do and getting along with people. And that being said, I do think overall stunts are kind of known as or positive. Like usually when stunt people are showing up on set, they come with a certain positive vibe. Of course, when we gotta get shit done, or if there's danger or something like that on the line, sure. But the idea of like not having a smile on your face while you do it, I mean, to each their own if you're not a very smiley person, but like otherwise, that's when it's fun of like, you take a massive wreck, you do some crazy shit, and afterwards people are applauding, you're joyful, you're smiling, like ready to go for another one, whatever you gotta do.
Yeah, I love that. I think, we all got into this business because we thought it'd be a fun job, right? So sometimes taking that back step and going, I'm getting too worked up about this, or I'm getting too much in my head. I need to try and have fun.
For sure. And we're doing special stuff. Like I'll argue any day that like the arts are creating change all around the world. It's an important thing. But at the same time, we're not in a very morose, like we're not curing a very terrible disease, and we're not necessarily dealing with
we're not
harsh things.
sending people into space.
Yeah.
We're making entertainment.
Exactly. We're telling stories about superheroes and, all kinds of stories. So to make it grim is not necessarily a great process.
Yeah, no, I like that. Okay, can you tell me a little bit about your physical movement background, maybe before you got into stunts?
For sure. My martial arts specialty was Wushu. I come from Chinese martial arts, so like Kung Fu and all that. That was my main background, although growing up I was into a lot of sports. I played tennis and soccer and all that, and was just an all-round kind of guy. And dance, I've always been a big fan of dance and dabbled. But Wushu was my main in, which was fantastic because you have the martial side of things, which is very much like understanding technique and strength and, violence, so to speak. But at the same time, it's highly performative, and it's almost more of a dance than it is a fight style. You have traditions of fighting, but so much of what it's become is that like flow and fun and performative side, which I liked a lot. And I think it lent itself very well to both the physical dynamics of what it takes to perform in stunts, but also, and acrobatics and flexibility and all that stuff, but also the performance. Because, we're not just going there to pull off 1 and 2, we're there to entertain and move in a, storytelling manner. So that was the main background prior to stunts. And then, as you know, once we get into stunts, we kind of do it all, especially for fight specialists, like doing judo, boxing, all that stuff became a big part of it. So that was my main background.
Nice.
As far as physical.
And did you find, so you have this background in Wushu and other martial arts, did you find you have to adjust to the camera and I guess what we do in stunts, did you have to make these little changes?
For sure. For me, it was kind of a amorphous process because still I did acting and I worked on stage and did a lot of other kind of performative stuff. So it's kind of more of a mesh. But for sure, like no matter what background we come from, it has strengths and quote unquote weaknesses relatively. So like the stereotype coming from Wushu was finding those hard edges. Like for Wushu, we're very expressive and open movement and flow, which is great. But to get that like Western, groundedness is breaking of a process. So that was a bit, as far as adjusting for camera, like with experience and time. Another good thing about Wushu is it's very much staged performance. Like you have to know how to perform for the judges wherever they're sitting on the carpet, and like basically like ice figure skating and stuff like that. Like you have to know who you're playing towards, and same thing as stage. And so now adding that factor of a camera that could be in any which direction. Sure, there's sides that at first you have no idea like how to sell a punch in a certain direction, but to me it's almost so much easier. And you see people who come from live shows and people who come from stage work, you have to perform for everyone almost. It's like, hey, if the guy's sitting over there or over there, we have to sell it to them as well. So on a grand scale, I thought it was not that hard, and that's a good background to come from. Yeah. But then again, the details of where camera is, that just comes with experience.
So I guess you would recommend then Wushu, but do you have other martial arts, if you could meet a beginner stuntee, so that you would point them in that direction because you think it lends itself well to what we do in stunts?
For sure. I don't think any particular martial art is the right martial art or stronger or this or that. Like almost anything, where you can find your passion is best. Like if I would tell people that, hey, explore and experiment, try all different things, and the one that sings to you that you love and you want to go to and you're like, fuck it, I want to train that, that's the best, because then you're going to train harder than anything. And so to have any strength in that regard would be great. That general PC response aside, the more dynamic, the better, I'd say. Judo is great because you learn falls. Judo, Aikido, like you fall and you know how to hit the ground because so much of stunts is wrecking. So to have a familiarity with that. The dynamics of Taekwondo and Muay Thai, wrestling is amazing. Everything is good, but ultimately, sure, like certain things, I wouldn't say like Krav Maga or just like specializing in jiu-jitsu. It's a little more niche in what we do. But again, depends on, you know, in a way what your casting is. If you're going to be an acrobatic guy, you want to do dynamic things. If you know, are a tiny little person, you're probably not, So it depends on the person. But.
I think I've seen a shift. I don't know if you can agree with me. You know, in the 90s, it was a lot about
I'll never agree with you, Dan.
In film and movies, it's a lot about you know, the kicks and the crescent kicks and all this. Whereas I feel like since, you know, the John Wick era, we've brought throws and I find they're very dynamic. So I agree with you there. I think things like judo and wrestling. But I think too, finding the flow of kung fu really helps too.
Yeah, and it's coming back. And in a way, audiences shift again depending where in the world. But like with UFC and MMA, like so many audience members are more familiar with action now. So the days of the like 80s or 90s action heroes were just like big haymakers and strength versus what it's become. And now like audiences have an understanding of what MMA is. So you see that a little more popularized, but again, who knows? Like things that we love, like be it like fantasy, sword work, or stuff like that. Like it always goes in different directions. So, yeah.
Who helped you make the move into stunts? So from you were doing your kung fu, and now you're here. What happened?
I saw a photo of you on the internet, on MySpace back in the day. I was like, I want to be like that, man.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of people's answers.
There was a spread on OnlyFans before it started. For me, because again, I came more from the filmmaking side of things. Because like I did a grad degree in filmmaking, and I moved to LA to pursue that. Like acting and directing was my thing, in the independent film world. But because I had done Wushu, I knew some of the people who did that. So like Sunny Sun was one of my first mentors in that regard, because I knew him from way before he even moved to the US and before stunts through Wushu, and like we were good friends. So I started going to 8711 and training with them and working alongside them. And since I knew how to shoot and edit, I think it kind of gave me a value of sort. So he was one of the first for sure to kind of pull me in and get me started, especially as a performer. And then to really jump in, because first to me it was almost like a side thing. I was like, okay, this is great for exposure to understand the film industry and to like be a fly on the wall on these big sets and understand and, you know, make a decent penny at the same time. But when I started really taking it serious, it was probably Dave Leach. We worked on Logan together. I was assistant core for Sunwoo, and then Dave kind of pulled me aside and he said, you know, if I really wanted to become a director and really reach for those heights, that stunts is one of the best departments for that, because you work with above the line, below the line, interdepartmental, you're working with everybody. So if you take a proactive choice, like if you want to be a meatbag who's hitting the ground, amen, power to you, that's a good thing. But if you take a proactive stance and want to learn more about it, it's film school on crack. Like everything I learned is one thing, but then being on set and taking that proactive stance from the stunt perspective is phenomenal. So that kind of, and obviously like him and Chad and all those guys, like, you know, proof in the pudding, like they were the ones who went that path and, you know, carved it and for all of us. So that changed my perspective to stunts is a fun thing on the side, to like, all right, I'm gonna fucking go, excuse my language, like go balls out into stunts. And for one, be it ego, be it whatever, and my love for the field as a whole, like I wanted to be an A-list in stunts. Like I wanted to be an A-list in stunts and use that, again, similar to Dave, Chad, Sam, like all these different guys and women who've come up through that field. I want to do the same thing. So it's still, in a way, a means to an end, but also that means has been, you know, the passion of my life. So
nice.
Loving it.
And then did you find that once you made that decision, did you step up your train, or did it, I guess, because you started working more, did your training suffer a little as far as, you know, your martial arts or your stunt training?
No, it kicked into gear, for sure.
Yeah.
And even though, like you were very astute to say earlier, the idea of made a fast rise in the stunt industry. At the same time, no, like my first 7 years in stunts, I wasn't fucking working all the time. Like I was training like hell, and it was, I was very fortunate to train with incredible people, and training at 8711 with Chad, like it was a magical experience where you're learning so much. But definitely was trying to learn as much as I can. And my physical training got kicked up a lot, like to be at a certain caliber. Again, like throughout even my martial arts career and even in stunts, something I've always loved is, being one of the shittiest in the room, so to speak, like throwing myself into a fire. So like when I was surrounded with like, I had Anis Sherfa, Danny Graham, and all these guys like Jackson Spidell around me performing, and I was this little shit from fucking Wushu background. Like they were different level. So I was always aspiring to like, oh shit, if I want to be even comparable to be on set working at this caliber, like, these people are insane. It made me really train a lot harder. And not just on the physical side, but like becoming an all-rounder, not necessarily full stunts, because there's a lot of specialties, but knowing how to film, knowing how to storytell, knowing how to act, knowing how to like all those things. But yeah, it definitely made me up my game when I was like, all right, if I'm doing this, I got to do it seriously.
And what specifically do you think changed? I guess you've done Wushu, and then you're going into stunt fighting. Mm-hmm. What sort of drills or what sort of training were you doing to perfect the art in front of the camera, like making the change from general martial arts to camera fighting?
Again, I was fortunate that like at the time, especially at 8711, Chad was teaching classes for free, like every single morning from like 5 a.m. till 9 a.m. every morning. We were training judo. This was like during prep for the first John Wick, or second John Wick and onwards, where he was teaching camera fighting, where it was very much, it was martial arts and it was judo focused, but it very much became a how do we train and teach choreography, and how do we create these systems that, like him and coming from Minasanto and all that stuff, like they've developed over such a long period of time, and he was just spreading that knowledge. So that was a massive magical part of it. And Sonny, that I mentioned earlier, like training with him for the longest time. And even a specific class aside, as a lot of people say, and especially in America, like, hey, where's a place to train? And sometimes there is a place, isn't a place. And stunt schools could be, take it with a grain of salt. It could be great, it could be terrible. But it was open gyms and training with people. And it was like, all right, I come from a Wushu background, I'll show you some broadsword stuff. And then someone else was like, I'm a jiu-jitsu expert. Another guy, I'm a fucking boxer. I'm a this, I'm a that. And so we all just teach each other stuff. Yeah. So yeah, it was very a Frankenstein to try to pick up and learn whatever you can. And then obviously as, like I did a lot of independent filmmaking stuff. So like training for different things. Yeah. Yeah, that's mostly how that came about. Just like picking and choosing from everybody and trying to learn as much as I can.
Yeah, I find the same thing. Just being around guys who are better than you, right? And just watching little things they do. You just go, I really like the way you made that kick look or that punch look. I'm going to adopt a little bit of that too.
Oh yeah, and again, there's being around those circles. I was fortunate because like I was working with John Valera for a very long time, and to me, still to this day, like watching a guy on camera is different fucking level. Like him, Danny Hernandez, the way they physically perform. So when you're performing for them, the standard is already set so high. And every once in a while, be it in whatever way, be it teasing, be it positive, of like, they point out like, hey, I want to see you like, what was it? There's a kick he does in a movie. I forget, it's not Transport, it's one of the earlier ones. Maybe The Machinist or something. But he does a roundhouse kick over Jason Statham's head. And like Jason Statham has my hair, he's bald, and he still like skims the tips of the hair over his head. And like, what was it? We were doing a project in Scotland with Uncle T and all these guys. Timuri, he's a Kiwi.
Jacob?
No, old school. He played, he was Boba Fett in all the original movies. Incredible actor, I fucking love him.
Yes. I know exactly who you're talking
about.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about,
I've worked with him.
Yeah, he's magical, man. So we did the sequence where like, and props didn't have a rubber gun, so I was...
Timuera Morrison.
There you go, thank you so much.
Sorry,
I had this real metal and wooden rifle that I had to swing over his head blind, because he's facing this way and he kind of sees me and ducks. And I was just like praying to God, like, please duck enough for me to get, and like, you know, if newer days you'd give a nice wide angle, but the shot was a certain way where like I had to skim him. And it was like a duck where it just had to be a last second duck. And doing it for John Valera where it's like his standards are top notch and I want to live up to that. It's just that moment where you're like, if I clonk this guy in the head, you know, this icon, life is over. So
yeah, I find it so nerve-wracking. You know, you're fighting with actors and
you just work with Henry Cavill. Like what you're saying, like you don't want to.
Yeah, fortunately, I didn't have to fight him.
That's right.
But you know, just any actors in general, like you've got to take a little bit more care than if you're in the background fighting your mate. You know,
for sure. And to make it look like you're doing something dangerous and real, but
you've got that intent that you're going at them.
Yes,
I say a lot to my students. You know, you've got to have that performance. You've got to be in it, but a part of your brain needs to be thinking mathematically. You know, it's got to be so your one part of you is going crazy. And on the outside, but inside you're cool, calm, and collected, and you're going
controlled. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's a good little thing I give my students.
Beautifully said. Yeah, regardless if an actor messes up or not, or another stunt team messes up, like you hit him, it's your fault.
Yeah.
You always got to have that control.
We've all done it, I think. Some more than others.
Right, yeah. Just knock some fingers.
You just got to choose the right ones.
Break your nose.
So you've done a little bit of dance, you were saying?
Yeah. I love dance.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel there's so many different forms of dance. It's physical movement and expression. To me, it's so much of martial arts. It's literally martial art, like it's physical expression.
So you find dancers make good performers,
the best.
Yeah.
To me, I think I mean, we used to joke, like, back in the martial arts day when I did Wushu, like, one of the teases from other martial artists to Wushu was like, oh, you guys are just like dancers. And I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, I don't know anybody else who puts their body through as much abuse as dancers do. Again, depending on the dance, but like, be it ballet, we just did a movie about ballerinas in ballet, and like, the physical excellence they kind of, like gymnastics, you have as a mother of sports and so much of dance and ballet, like it's incredible what they do. But particularly for what we do in choreography in front of camera, for one, the ability to pick up choreography and memorize is huge. Timing and being able to hit your mark, like, as you know, that's the majority of stunts. Are you a good stunt person? Do you know your timing and how to hit your mark properly? That's so much of what we do, obviously in an exaggerated fashion, and I think dancers find that better than anybody, and they understand rhythm and they understand performance, and what they could physically pull off is also extraordinary. So even after the last one, there's this brilliant international dance choreographer we worked with and became one of my closest friends, William Tuckett, who we were literally talking about it, like, hey, how can we get, because another heartbreaking irony is dancers who do so much, they're underpaid, undervalued as hell. Like, even now, a stunt person will come on, be a newer stunt person who's not doing much and they're getting paid, you know, X amount of money. Then you have a dancer coming on and rehearsing and prepping and working for a 14-hour day and they get paid like $200.
Yeah.
So that disparity is crazy. So in a way, it's like, hey, how could we take these incredible professionals and then bring them into stunts? Then we elevate the level of stunts and we give a better living to them. So, whole thing.
Yeah, and I guess they have that work ethic too, right? They've done the hard yards, so they know how to bring that into
Show
stunts.
must go on, man. Yeah, it's like same for, to me, a lot of people who come from live shows have that. It's a diversity and malleability to their movement and approach, but also like, they know something is way off, you fucking roll with it. Or you're dancing with somebody, all of a sudden their timing is off, or they fuck up, or they forget a line or a motion, and you're able to kind of dance with it. So much of it is that. Because, you know, we prep and we perfect for film, but like on the day, all that shit is out the window, and it becomes a natural in the moment performance that like the effect goes off at the wrong time. The actor does something that's way different. All of a sudden it's like, they don't call cut, we're out of choreography, fuck it. Wow, let's keep going. Like,
all these things that you kind of don't know until you're in the thick of it, right?
Oh yeah.
That's a good little segue to my next question. So is there anything you wish you knew that you know now when you were having your first experiences as a stuntman on set? Is there any little tidbits you could give your past self?
I wish I knew that you're gonna come across such handsome men on set, and like the way to not be too distracted by such a jawline. I mean, that's something I still haven't perfected, but
Yeah, I get that a lot.
sorry. Things I wish I knew early on. I mean, no, in a way, like hindsight, sure, there's things you learn, but I think such a beautiful process of it is like, doesn't matter. If you had a million notes of what to do in the first place, you're going to make the mistakes and you're going to learn it. So to me, I'm like, fuck it. No, I don't necessarily wish I knew anything else going in from the beginning, because there's no direct answer. Yeah, you're going to learn through it.
Seems to work out pretty well for you.
Oh, you're very sweet. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's all, I mean, love the process, love how it goes. But like to newer people on set, I would just say like, don't be afraid of asking questions. Don't be afraid of looking like an idiot.
Yeah.
It's the only way to learn. And almost everyone on every set, every single crew member are truly open to like teaching. They love it.
Yeah.
There may be a moment or two, one or two person, like if eventually you'll learn professionalism, certain like timing, of course, is read the room. But it's a human industry. And like any other human being, and especially because it's from the arts and that's how everybody came up, they're all eager to teach. So go up to a person and ask the stupidest fucking question, it's fine.
Yeah.
They may make fun of you, but at the same time, they'll teach you.
Yeah.
Be like, how many apples in an apple box? They'll laugh, but then they'll tell you, no, apple box is this thing. Like, it could be anything. So to me, like, don't be afraid of asking questions.
I wish I asked more questions when I first started out.
Yeah.
I think scared that you're going to overstep your boundaries, or maybe I should have known that.
Exactly.
Before.
And I almost feel there's an overemphasis in that within stunts, where it's like, no, just be the proper person standing in the back. And sure, there's certain values of like, hey, be the ready professional. But at the same time, like, what's wrong with going up to a grip and being like, hey, how do you tape? Why is there a flag here? What's this thing? Like, just fuck it. You want to learn it all.
Hey, do you have any do's and don'ts for performers that are just stepping into doubling for the first time? So working closely with an actor, things they should be doing, shouldn't be doing.
Funny enough, I've doubled the decent amount of people, but I wasn't the biggest double. I was mostly always like an ND and performer and choreographer and stuff, but...
No one had a beautiful head like yours.
Exactly. Save them for like one or two things. But no. And honestly, I got huge thighs and a big butt. And like everyone's usually like slim down there, so...
It's hard, right? Like, how do you go for one size or a look, and then if no one comes along with that look, you're like, I should have stayed skinny. Or...
Exactly, yeah. So I'm not the best person in the world to ask. And like, there are so many. I mean, you have incredible doubling experience. But that being said,
but you must, you work with actors.
Yeah, a lot of different doubles and actors. There's a balance. To me, again, truly taking care of your actor is very important. Like the idea of being there for them and understanding, like having a humility around it. Like some people would be like, oh, I'm the fucking double. Like, who's this guy? And to me, it's another human being. You guys are creating a character together. And of course, every actor is going to be different. So understanding their dispositions and in a way being like, I'm here to help this person create an awesome character. So let me create that nice relationship, I think is important. Of course, read the room and read the film. If there's an actor who like really doesn't want that around them because they're truly in character, they don't want to see, I'm the Joker. I don't want to see another fucking Joker there. Sure, read the room and do that. But that aside, I say just treat them like any other human being. I think actors are too often treated like they're not normal people, and it makes them uncomfortable and them behave a certain way. And it's like, no, they're just like everybody else. Let's not isolate them so much. Give them information. Treat them normally.
So that leads me to another question, or I guess your view. So you're working with different coordinators, and they will have different expectations for you with that double. So how do you navigate that, do you think, or how do you suggest stunt doubles navigate that?
Two different answers to either of that. How I would operate, I think is a little different, and I'm maybe a little bit more of a liberal pirate in that extent. Like, I'll do what I believe to be right, regardless. Sometimes to my own detriment, but I'm a fan of it. To each their own, and understand what you're dealing with. And for sure, like, protect your employment as a performer, dealing with whatever coordinator it be. There are some extraordinary and incredible stunt coordinators with great experience out there who I think are phenomenally to learn a lot from. There can be experiences with like slightly older school mentalities, which again, pros and cons to, but sometimes they may be a little, for sake of boldness, a little over precious about people's interactions with the actor or stunt double. So it'll be an element of like, that's your actor, you do not talk to them, you're just here as a stunt professional, you just do this, yada yada.
Yep.
And I'm a little more liberal-minded than that. I don't think that's right. Obviously, if you're becoming an annoyance or you're treating them like shit, to me that's human common sense of like, don't be a dick, don't bother them right now. The person, like, read the room. If they're prepping for an emotional moment, nah. But to me,
Stop offering them water.
yeah, exactly. Like, you don't want it, you don't want it, you want. How about right now? So common sense that I'm hoping we all have as human beings, but to have a harsh line through the sand of like, you never do this and you always do this. No, we're not working in a industry of extremes or like ultimatums. That's not what we do. It's a human industry. So every human thing there's no exact answer to any of it.
Yeah.
So I personally am very much on the side of have relationships with people, because the best comes out of everybody when you understand them, and like to enlighten and shine light on it, know the person personally.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any wrong answer to how close you could become with an actor. If you're close enough, friends enough, whether that's social outside of work or strictly at work, it's fine. But once, like if I have a scene partner, I treat it the same way. Like, I could behave better and more openly with you on camera if we have comfort with one another. Same with stunts. Like, if I'm about to do a fight scene with somebody, instead of being like, I want to be his enemy before I fight, I'm like, no. The better I know this person, the better I move with them, the better I'm going to be able to let that loose and pretend like you just murdered my kid. Let's fucking go, because I feel safe for the person. So same in a relationship as a double is, you guys are close enough that you're tight enough that he'll be like, fuck off, I don't want water right now.
Yeah.
Catch you later, thank you though.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, who's this weirdo who I don't like, if there's a separation. So I'm like, create a relationship.
You hit the nail on the head. It's reading the room. One thing I do, I like to just check in with the coordinator or the choreographer. If I haven't experienced with that team as well. Hey, what do you expect from me? Or do you have anything you don't like? And saying that, it's hard too, because you do want to become mates in a way with that actor, because you never know what that might lead to, right? So
for sure.
You want to do your best job, and
but not all work there.
And they're not all looking to be a friend either, though, are they? Actors, like, some are just there to do the job, and and they're like,
For sure.
So
and I think honestly, what you just said is beautiful. The idea of communication. Speak to people. Don't just assume like, fuck, do I have to do this way or that way, or not ever ask a question and then approaching the wrong way. Talk to everybody. Talk to your team. Talk to the cord. Talk to the actor. Be like, hey, to what extent do you want me up in your face? Like, do you want me checking in on you? Like, communication is key. Yeah,
I think that's something I've only just started doing, but it's helped me. Like, I'll speak to an actor and say, what do you expect from me when we're on set? Do you want me to give you a little bit of advice if I see things? And they'll generally, they'll give you an answer one way or the other. They'll say, you know what, no, I'll let me work it out if that's the deal. But otherwise, some might love some input because they might not consider themselves to be much of a martial artist or a performer. So, no, well said. And again, I would maybe one note on top of that is patience. Relationships, just like any human relationship, it takes time. So instead of like, day one, within the first hour, I gotta make this fucker love me. Like, no, calm down. Build trust over time. So day one, be kind, professional, ease into whatever friendship or professionalism there is. That's it, mate. So when you're working with actors as a fight coordinator or fight choreographer, do you have a certain method you like to train them with training and teaching them choreo or movement? For sure. A lot of it, I think we kind of touched on. To me, it's being as open and honestly collaborative as possible. For one, I really loved, and this could be a longer conversation, but like empowering the team, not just being like, hey, I'm the face, I'm the coordinator, I'm the this or that, but like, hey, this is the team, this is the village that it took to come up with all these things. Introduce them, I personally like to get them to be closer. This one you've seen, like, hey, this is your double, these are the things that we've done, like making them hopefully closer and friends. I love the idea of including them in the process. Obviously that ranges depending on the film. Sometimes you get your actor 5 minutes before you shoot and you've been developing it for a few months. That's an extreme, but then there are times where you have them for a few months leading up to it. So
getting their input. They're artists just as much as anybody else, and they have ideas and hopes as far as what their character is and what the film is. So bringing that into the process. And hopefully even from the beginning, what you approached in their design and choreography is based off of who the character is, what it is for the story, what it is for the script, like being more artistic about it. That aside, as far as approach, reading the person, seeing what their process is like, if it's going to be understanding the people, I think is the biggest thing. Seeing what ways, if they're the kind of person that like building up their ego and they perform better is great. If they're the kind of person who just like want you to be harsh and kind of like giving them tough love, that's great. To me, it's read the person, but ultimately be as respectful and open as you can with it.
Yeah, nice. I see that with you a lot. I know we've only known each other for 5 weeks, but just
intense 5 weeks.
Yeah, but no, watching you, it's great because you know it's not. I wouldn't say it's feeding their ego, but it's listening to them, and you know sometimes actors do come up with great ideas, and you're like, actually, that's I agree with that, and it's your sometimes it's just listening to your own ego, I guess, and going, you know what, his idea was better than mine, or whatever.
Yeah. That's the irony of like, I forget who said this, and I loved him. It was a professor of mine or somebody where it's an industry where there's no room for egos, but at the same time we have the most egos, which is the irony. So if anything, I'd say like from, be it whatever position, as a performer, as a double, as a coordinator, putting your own ego aside and listening and being open to others is when you could come up with the coolest shit. So yeah, agreed.
Hey, do you have a process when it comes to choreography and creating a fight?
Yes. I wrote a fun little paper on it. I'll share you later. But the biggest part of any of it, well, not the biggest, there's so many different factors. For one, I'm an extremely collaborative person. I love working with a team. So to me, it's have a dope team, have them all fully on board, let everyone read the script. I think keeping people in the dark and just being the one point of knowledge and disseminating from there, to me, that's, I don't know, it's a methodology, an old school hierarchy that I'm not a fan of. So a big part of my methodology is like, have a dope team of collaborators who are all on the same side, and almost like a social democracy of like, hey, we're all here to come up with ideas. It's a mix of structured creativity and optimization, but I also love, as you kind of saw, like unstructured times where it's like, hey, for the next 2 to 3 hours, like everyone go off and do your own fucking thing. Like you search YouTube videos, have fun. Don't like, hey, here are the orders and here are the 9 things I want everyone to practice. It's like, all right, for today, this half of the day, like everyone fuck off. And then if you're all of a sudden like, I have an idea, can I borrow 2 people? Go for it. Like everyone's open to come up with ideas. Yeah. That's a big thing I'm a fan of. Really approaching it from the artistic side and kind of, and again, each process is different. I think like, I love the idea of that democracy behind it, but some people work much better from a specifics to more macro side. I like to go from macro to specific. So I love coming up with like broad strokes, or here general, like directorial in a way, like these are character ideas we really want in it. Here's some great acting moments, places for a thing of dialogue to come up. Like all those macro thoughts I love. And then the painting of like, all right, what's a general movement style? What's a specific move of choreo we want? Like those, the nitty gritty could come later. And again, that's where it's very valuable to have a team of like, all right, that guy's an acrobatic specialist. That guy knows this fucking jujitsu. This guy really knows that. And then having all that come in.
Yeah. I've noticed with you, you're very good at the pitch when it comes to
the gift of the gab.
You know, giving your ideas across to the team or to the stunt coordinator or to the director. I find that works well for you. And how do you elaborate on that? Like I'm not very savvy with the.
I appreciate it. It's something I want to keep getting better at. Some of the greatest I've known have that gift. And it's funny, at the same time, I know brilliant people who aren't good at it. And it's like, your ideas are brilliant. You have so many great things, but like, so in a way I'd say that's just as much of a fucking skill set as anything that like we need to give attention to. It's like being a brilliant actor and having no concept of self-marketing or administration, or like get your work out there. If you're only going to work in a classroom for the rest of your life, like no one's going to see your work. It's the same idea of like, you could be the most brilliant choreographer and ideas guy in the world, but or woman in the world, if you're not able to share it and pitch it, you're screwed. And then you'll constantly see, as a lot of people do, and they may get jealous of like, this person has shit ideas, but they're so good at selling it, and all the producers are like, yeah, and it's a shit idea. But like, why are you down here looking at that person and hating on them instead of like, work on that skill set? And funny enough, at a lot of times, and this to me again comes from the strength of village, like if you truly inherently don't have that skill set as much and you're working on it but it's not perfect, team up with somebody who could pitch your ideas great. Like you saw, I work with Remy. He's a brilliant micro dude, but like be it whatever's in the way of him necessarily pitching, although he's pretty great at pitching as well, but like I'll take his idea and then just boisterously say it out loud and people are like, oh, it's amazing. And I love obviously like hopefully sharing that credit and saying where it's coming from, but so sorry, that was a long rant around it all.
No, it was, yeah.
To get it, it's just being nerdy, man. Like,
do you think it's been like confident, like confident in your idea?
Sure. I guess I could say this. Confidence is an interesting word around it. I would say almost a lack of fear. Like, even if it's shit and people poo-poo it, so what? It could be a terrible idea. So in a way, it's not confidence in like, this idea is the best idea. Because then if you do it and it doesn't work and it's shat on, then you're going to feel like shit. But instead having like, what about this idea? Like, not this movie. All right. Yeah. What about this one instead? So just so I don't know if that's necessarily confidence, but like a boldness to just being willing to put it out there.
Yeah. I liked the other
Looking
day.
like an idiot if you have to.
We were all standing around, we got tasked with sort of creating a little bit of a fight.
Yeah.
And a few of us were standing around talking, throwing out shit ideas.
Yeah.
And you were just off stewing, brainstorming, right? And you're very quiet.
Yeah.
And then you come in and it was just like, boom, what about, and this happens, this happens, and this wouldn't happen because it doesn't make sense. And it was all practical. And I was like, holy shit, like, that's great. Yeah, let's do that.
I appreciate you. And funny enough, we were kind of going back to the idea you said of methodology and stuff. There is a side, of course, whatever I'm thinking too, but hearing everyone's brainstorm, and this is why I'm like, empower your fucking team, people. Like, hear what they have to say. Whether you realize someone says something like, no, it's not that, that helps you figure out then what is it. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times, and on a macro scale, you see people frustrated like, oh, the director doesn't know, or the DP doesn't know. It's like, or the coordinator doesn't know what he wants. Yeah, that's our job, is to help them find out. Even if it's not like, this is my vision, it's, I'm trying to find my vision. So even give me the things that it isn't, or it's peripheral or close to it, because that helps hone it. So, sorry, long story short, even for me, when I was sitting there aside, like I'm hearing different ideas and it's like, oh, that's a really cool one. I don't know about that one. Oh, this is cool. Fuck that. I love the idea of that thing blowing up. Hey guys. And then it's all those things come together.
Yeah.
And then that also hopefully makes the team feel great, because it's like, oh shit, all our ideas kind of came through in something.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Away from stunts, you're out here working in Australia, or you go all over the world. What do you like to do in your downtime, I guess, to get away from it? I know you like to go for 30-kilometer runs.
What I do during my downtime? Furious masturbation.
We'll just cut out that part.
Just get rid of that side. Just cry myself to sleep every night. I forget. Total side of it. I think it was...
Shahab, what do you like to do in your downtime?
This guy has a problem. I think it was Ryan who was talking about that earlier today. We were fucking laughing. Or the other day. All right, sorry. Self-pleasing aside. It's just going to get me ruined. Stuff I like to do in my downtime. Personally, I'm a rather social person, so I love to either hopefully have some people on the team that I'm really close with that I get to hang out with, like, because once you're on location, like back home in LA, sure, then I have my life and all the other things around it. But on location, I'm a foodie. I love to go out for food, check out different places, explore, be within the culture of any place. I always kind of am a scattershotter, so like I have other seeds planted, so like other projects I'm working on at the same time, like be it back in the US or different people, like touching on those. I love sitting at coffee shops and just reading and writing. Like, it's personal life stuff for sure. Again, I'm a bit of a social slut, so like I love hanging out with friends and getting into that, staying in shape. Yeah, kind of similar to anybody else. Watching TV shows, movies, video games, although I haven't had time.
Yeah.
But like,
I like that you like getting out and seeing the culture. Like, I find that's such a fortunate thing we get in this industry, and we get to spend time, like long periods of time in different places, whether it's in your country or overseas, but just, you know, taking that opportunity and going, I'm going to
for sure, man,
kick it with the locals.
Yeah, and like, I'm very close to my family, so like if I'm ever in a certain country, my parents love traveling, so like if I have an excuse, I mean, Australia's been far, so they weren't able to come out here, but to get them to come out and visit and explore a new place, be it my brother or sister, anybody, or friends, if I'm in a relationship, like people using the excuse of being in another country on production's dime to like go and hang out.
Yeah.
Spending time with the people you love. Like, I love all that.
We should hang out more.
We should.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years?
Well, after what I just said previously, probably in prison, but next 5 to 10 years, I mean, my goals and aspirations still are for sure it's directing. So right now I'm in and around the world of action designing, fight coordinating, second and directing as much as I can to hopefully build towards that. But being a director, hopefully directing a few features, working on some TV shows that I love, like that's my main hope. And of course I love performing always. So like if I'm able to get acting roles here and there, that's an absolute passion. I still love that. But yeah, building towards that, you know, ambition of being an industry titan where it's like you get to tell incredible stories and
so writing
change.
And
I love writing as well. I love collaborating with other writers. I love taking what other writers have put together. If it like inspires me and seems true and personal to me, like being able to help tell them, all that.
Raptor priest or whatever. What is that?
Velocipaster? Oh yeah. Oh, it was so much fun. Yeah, like I'm also a nerd, so like be it whatever. Like I'm again getting rid of the ego. Of course, the ambition. Like I'm a deeply ambitious person, so like everything I could do to continue to rise up for sure. Ideally in a positive, good way. So even though I aim to work on things that'll hopefully continue to open up more doors for higher opportunities, at the same time, like be it working with people who I really love in any capacity, like we did Extraction, Gray Man, all these movies, like even though I was more building the fight cord thing, but those I was like, these are people I adore and something that's gonna be a great experience where I can learn and have a great time. So I'm absolutely always gonna be open to going to those. It's like we make the joke of like, hey David, you're gonna do a movie, let me be the guy who gives you coffee. Like I don't give a fuck, like just to be around certain things.
Do you have like bucket list jobs that you'd love to do?
I got so many. I'm a Spielberg fanatic, so anything that he would do, I'd die to work on. If I see Tom Hanks, I'll just cry my heart out, lose it instantly. Recently, I've been obsessed with pirates, so like any kind of piratey thing. And again, like swashbuckling and sword, and you know, I'm a big fantasy nerd, so like Dungeons and Dragons and anything around there, Lord of the Rings, like these are all things I'd die for. But also real stories, and I love comedy. You kind of know me, like I'm eclectic in all my tastes. I enjoy comedy very much and silliness, but yeah, there's so many goddamn stories to tell, man. So I want to do all of it.
Do you have a favorite film you've worked on?
Talking with friends about that, to me, I'd separate into two categories. Like favorite film as far as like the quality of the film versus like the great experience we had on it. Because like in an extreme, we worked on Madam Web. I'm not afraid to say a shit film, but like we had such a great time. Like we had fun making it. Or like one of my best experiences was one of the Purge movies we did. Just because it was like...
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, it was fun, it was silly, and it was just a group of like 4 or 5 of us having an absolute blast. The movie was actually pretty fun too, but like, you know, good experience, not necessarily, but like a movie like Logan, proud of that one. It was freaking amazing. We did all the reshoots for that, it was great. Other films, honestly, all the past few ones have been great. Velocipaster was an absolute freaking blast.
Velocipaster 2, right?
2, the sequel. Look out for that one. It's going to be quite special. One of the highlights of my career.
one thing I'm passionate about as a stunt teacher is like trying to navigate students who are brand new into things they can be doing to find themselves on a movie set doing stunts. You know? So in Australia, we obviously have our stunt grading, but that aside, what are things you think they could be doing? Say they're already qualified, the obviously training that they can do to get themselves on a movie set.
Honestly, looking at like you inspire me, man. Seeing some of the stuff you do with your class, like for one, the training and technical side, which is amazing, but like you have these film challenges or like you have them go out and shoot stuff. I think that's brilliant. And looking at what other people have done, like even Chad would say back in the day, like what they did, and also what he'd assign students is like, go take that Jackie Chan fight, shoot it shot for shot, learn every single shot, like study it. To me, just the activity of doing, like fail, make things. You're gonna fucking suck. Like that's all of us suck to start. I still suck, but like we keep doing, and that's how we get better and better as we go.
You don't. If it sucks, you don't have to put it out there.
Yeah,
just move on and and keep doing it until you're proud of it. Or I mean, not necessarily proud of it, but until it's good enough to show the world 100%. And go, hey, hire me. I think that's the big thing is people put things out. Maybe
I'm one of those people. I'm a social media slut. So I'm
just
like, look at this, and it sucks.
I was too, mate. Back in the day, you just you think you're awesome, and, and you're like. And all your mum and dad on Facebook give you a like, and you're like...
I think that's my exact same problem. My mom and dad are too supportive. So I'm just like false confidence. No, for sure. I think that's absolutely important. I think some of the stuff we touched on earlier is also good points of like understanding this is a human and social thing. So like get to know people, make a community, like having allies and friends and networks is super important. Like they say filmmaking is all about who you know. There's truth to that. Doesn't mean you have like, I went to LA not knowing any fucking buddy. I went just as an Iranian guy who was like, I want to make movies. Just I knew some people from the martial arts world, but like, you don't have to know them to start, but it's over time, it is absolutely about the relationships because, filmmaking is all about the village that creates them.
So when you were that Iranian guy, was there one person that gave you your first shot? You said Sonny. Was it Sonny?
Sonny was a big one. Yeah. I mean, Justin Yu also. Like, my first run was Justin Yu on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like that was my first decently long run. I worked for like 4 months on that, maybe more. And I also, as much as I came in from nothing and very much put my eggs in many, many baskets. Everything I have is, thanks to the people that I got to work with, like amazing people. Even one of the very first sets I was on was John Wick 1, where we like showed up for reshoots, and like I remember being brand new fucking green ass stunty, and I didn't know at the time, but like everyone sitting around the lunch table were these legends, and like Tim Connolly and all these guys who like treated me beautifully. And like the ones that treated me great are the ones that I remember the most. I'm like, all right. And now they're like, dear friends who I get to have, good relationships with.
That's nice they treated you well because it's very easy to treat a new stunty badly.
There's been those too. Not necessarily going into details about the people who, treat you like shit for sure. But, and like that's something that I also like to, and I learned from my father very well is you instantly see the people who treat people above them amazingly and treat people below them like trash. And it's just, to me, that's not a sign of human character or class, or not to say class, but they're, the people who at whatever level you are treat you like a beautiful human being and like, with care and the hope to teach. To me, that's great, and I remember those, and I try to do the exact same.
I try to tell my students, you never know, any of these guys could be your boss one day. So
100%.
I've seen it happen. Like I've seen guys start later than me and then have been fight choreographers and jobs and so you never know. True. You just be nice to everyone, and I mean you should anyway, but for that reason, it's just human decency. For that reason specifically, you should be nice to everyone.
Very true. And like funny enough, one of my early career great piece of advice I got, like I was early trying to make it as a filmmaker in LA, and the husband of one of my filmmaking partners, this lady who's I love to death, he's this huge industry manager. Like he represented Robin Williams, Billy Crystal, Bette Midler, Sammy Davis Jr., like big time. And so like I got a meeting with him, and I was like, oh, what am I gonna get hooked up? And his like main advice to me was exactly that. He's like, listen, man, like the people I'd introduce you to, like they're not really the ones you want to get to know. Like you're starting off, who you have to become friends with are like the people in the mailroom, the assistants. Look at like, become friends with them because they're gonna be the next my echelon like industry titans. So exactly that. Like if you're a new stunty and like aspiring director and you're on a movie, like instead of trying to like buddy up with the director who's doing his own shit, buddy up with his personal assistant. Because that motherfucker's going to be somebody. Like you look at the different PAs and ADs, like, oh, these are the ones that over the course of the next 10, 15 years that I'm in this industry. Yeah. And like to me, that's a bit of a truth of this industry's not a sprint. This is a marathon long haul of like, you know, they say like, oh, we came up fast. I've been doing this for 15 years. Like and that's after film school and all the other things we've done. Like things take time to get to where they're going to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly as you said, build those relationships from the bottom up.
Nice. Getting close to the end now. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we finish up?
Just that I love you, man. I appreciate this. You're good people. And like the experience of working on this project with you and the other team here. And honestly, like I love working everywhere in the world, and I've been fortunate as hell. But I could sincerely say the Aussies have been like my favorite people. Just
nice.
And I guess it sings to me because there's like.
I'm a Kiwi though. So.
Ooh, never mind. I just strike that one. Honestly, Kiwis are the fucking best, dude.
Yeah, and Cam's a Kiwi. Andy.
All the best ones. Never mind. Kiwis are the true unsung heroes.
Yeah.
Oh, even looking back, dude, like, what is it? Marcos Ronthwaite, Zoe Bell, like some of my early mentors and favorite people. They're all, something about the Southern Hemisphere. You guys just.
Yeah, we're very similar. I think Australians and New Zealanders.
Yeah.
The accents are a little different.
A little bit. It's a little competitive rivalry there, but.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you have anything coming up you're excited about that you are able to talk about?
I'm open to talk about it all. Fuck it. NDAs are stupid. Honestly, I'm excited about this movie. I think it's a fun little indie with like great people. And, you know, Ryan Tarrant I've known him for like 10 to 15 years. I adore him. He's been one of my favorite people from the beginning. Beautiful human being. I could go on for days about him. Excited how this is going to turn out. When I go back to the US, I'm second year directing the Dynamic Duo, which I'm pretty excited about. The whole like Batman Robin thing with, and it's this whole new tech of how it's filmed with live action puppetry. It's magic.
So cool.
So I'm very excited. And like the director and the team behind that are just some of the sweetest, most brilliant, down to earth, doing it for the love and passion of it, like creatives that I've ever met. And they bring out the best in me as well, which, you know, when you're working with great people, you become even greater. Like your game is elevated. And when you're in those circumstances, it's just, that's the best. So that, and then after that, we'll see, man.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get to work together again. I'm available if you are.
Fucking praying for it, baby. It would be great. Bring the whole posse.
It'd be great to have you back here in Australia. I really love it when, you know, we get choreographers and coordinators come out from the States and you get to meet.
Cool question for you. Talk about how you enjoy working with different people from overseas. Who has been your absolute favorite core to work with? And heads up, there's only one correct answer, but go ahead.
Oh, that's hard. I've been very fortunate with my career.
You're thinking way too long. You're being way too PC.
Definitely not you.
God damn it, Dan!
No, you have been, honestly, you've been such a pleasure. I feel so at ease around you to give my ideas and I don't feel like I've got to tiptoe at all. So thank you for that, because it always makes coming to work a little bit nicer.
It slightly makes up for you not saying that I'm your favorite, but I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Yeah. But I was lucky enough last year too to work with Vincent Bouillon.
Oh, fuck yeah. Brilliant dude.
And he doubled
French,
John Wick and John Wick 4 and he was again was like the same, just felt very at ease around and could give ideas. Anyone that is, you know, wants to hear your ideas or like accepts or at least listens and humors them is always cool to be around.
We hope for more of it.
Yeah. Chris O'Hara, he was pretty cool.
I love Chris.
On The Fall Guy. He was the same, like such a
brilliant man.
Like a you know, a massive second year director and the same thing, you just feel at ease. You're like,
dude, he's one of the most brilliant, qualified people in the history of stunts. And still, like, remember that example I said of like people are open to teach? Like to this day, literally today I actually did, I'll text him the dumbest questions and he's just such a giving and open guy that'll absolutely, like, I could go on for days about what a sweet human being he is.
Yeah. So, you know, I guess from my international experiences, that lot. But I'm very fortunate I get to work with Kyle Gardner and Chan Griffin a lot here in Australia, and they do.
Chad is a bit of a cunt. But
Chan, he's a strange one.
Yeah.
No, Chan's awesome. He's been very instrumental in my journey.
Hell yeah.
I've worked with him on, you know, Mortal Kombat and
Dude, I'm
Thor.
so stoked for that.
Yeah, so...
yeah.
And same with Kyle. They work in the same team, so they've given me some
Every
great...
single human being I've met who's come across Kyle just says the most incredible things. That he's like a true leader and like
he's
a family man. Beautiful.
Create some cool action and so we're pretty lucky to have him here in Australia, and he takes a lot of Australian jobs too, so we'll get to work from home.
Hell yeah.
Which is awesome. I would love to travel one day though. Like I think.
Oh, you will, dude.
You know.
We're gonna tear you away.
Yeah, maybe I'll never come back.
Yeah.
No, but yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Well, thanks for having us. I mean, here in your apartment.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Tea and dates here for days.
Yeah.
You hang out with a Persian, you know you're gonna be hooked up.
I hope hope all your listeners have learnt something with Shahaub Roudbari.
Roudbari. Roudbari is a good way to go about it.
Is there not a D? There's a D.
There's a D. There's no N.
Roudbari.
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 Nailed it. Roudbari if you want to get real about it.
Well, now everyone will not go through the same painful awkwardness I have.
I love giving you that shit. Yeah, perfect.
That's just how I've been saying in my head. I don't think I've ever...
You can say the full version, just Malik Shahabadina Haywalo Roudbari Meguni. Just get right into it.
I'm going to learn that.
You would. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, sir.